Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm Angela Wilkinson, attraction coach and founder of The Goddess Next Door. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Angela Wilkinson, and welcome to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. Shakima Martinez is a business and marketing strategist for aspiring service-based entrepreneurs. She has a true knack for taking someone's passions and interests and turning them into a profitable business that feeds their soul and their family. She is a dear, dear friend of mine who's become my go-to person whenever I face a business challenge, and even more importantly, she's part of my inner circle. She has a heart of gold and can help you skyrocket your business to the next level. Today, she and I chat about how valuable it is to surround yourself with amazing people who've got you. But before I talk with Shakima today, I'm super excited to share that Spark Society is now officially open. Spark Society is the place to be to ignite your own brilliance and let it shine. Join today and you'll get immediate access to a collection of exclusive gifts from Awakened Goddess Show guests, plus a private community to connect with other awakened goddesses to share insights and ideas. Visit bit.ly, that's bit.ly/Spark Society for more information and to join today. Welcome, Shakima, to the Awakened Goddess Show. I'm excited to have you here with me. You are here for my birthday week celebration, and I don't know if you know this, but you are like my best friend in New York City. So you're representing New York for me today.
Yay!
So, oh my gosh. Yeah, so I am thrilled to have you here celebrating my birthday and here for Girlfriend Chit Chat.
Yes, and I am thrilled to be here to celebrate your birthday and looking forward to a really fun show today. All of our conversations are fun, so
I know.
This is no different.
I know, yeah. Good thing we're not always recording our conversations because...
Exactly, yeah.
Of course, I'm sure the ladies out there know. They already know what kind of conversations women have amongst themselves.
They certainly do.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do. They're fun. They are always insightful, a tad bit crazy from time to time.
Yes.
But I can always count on you for good conversation. So
thank you. Well, you too. Gosh, I was just thinking about when we met. How many years ago has that been now?
I think 4.
Yeah,
actually.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, it was about 4 years ago, which seems like a really long time, but it wasn't that long ago. But yes, we met at the networking event.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. I remember it. I can pull it up to my memory, like clear as day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think you were probably wearing red that day.
I believe I was, yeah. I was wearing red because at the time, that was the signature color of my business card. And I wanted to match for some reason. It was so weird. But yes, I was wearing red that day. And I do remember it was the first time that I had met someone that, you were one of the very first people I met in the coaching industry, number one. And then you were definitely the very first person I met that was a love and attraction coach. I had no idea what that meant at the time.
Yeah.
So I remember looking you up afterwards because I'm like, well, what exactly does that mean? I was so green back then, about certain things. But
well, I actually coined that term, love attraction coach. So people often do ask me what that is because, my whole, everything I see or everything in the world I see through law of attraction and energy. And so, yeah, love and romantic relationships and actually love of all kinds has really been something I've always been fascinated by and have always been called to promote.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And you promote it well.
Thank you. I hope so. Boy, that's been a journey in itself. But we're not going to just talk about me today. One of the things I appreciate about you is, we have over the years developed a really cool relationship. It started out as meeting in that business arena.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, we developed a friendship. It was funny because, we were neighbors in New York City. We lived like one building right next door to each other, and that was like the coolest thing ever. And and then now we get to mastermind every single week.
Mm-hmm. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It is good stuff. And it's so funny because we lived one building, like you said, one building away from each other, and you were the first person that I knew in the neighborhood.
Oh.
Like the first friend that I had in the neighborhood. I have a ton of neighbors. You see how big the buildings are.
Yeah.
But the first like consistent friend in the neighborhood. And so I was like thrilled that you were there. And even though you left us, it's okay, and moved to Portland, but you are still, you're still to me right around the corner because I'm talking to you like every week.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good. And that is one of the things that's really hard to find. It's really hard to find a consistent person, a good friend, and someone that you feel that you can, have these open, honest conversations with, and someone that you can call, text, and at the drop of the dime, they'll jump on the phone with you and kind of work through whatever it is that you've got going on. And it's hard. It gets, and especially in this age of technology and all that stuff and social media and all that, it gets harder and harder to find those people and then maintain those relationships. But, I'm glad that you are definitely one of those people. So,
yeah, likewise.
Yes.
I think we actually talk more now that I'm not in the city than when I actually never even came to your apartment. Did you ever come to mine?
No, we'd meet on the corner. We'd meet on the corner. That was the midway point for the both of us, and we'd go get coffee across the street.
I know. But isn't that the wildest thing? I mean,
it's hilarious.
Couldn't get much closer.
It honestly is hilarious, but it's funny because that's like the nature of like friendship. I have people that I've been friends with for like maybe 10, 15 years, and I've probably been to their house like 3 times, which is weird because you'd think you'd be like in each other's space more, but that's not the case for some reason.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, I have a friend here that pretty much all we do is go to one person's house or the other and just like hang out.
Uh-huh.
We don't turn on the TV or anything. We just hang out. But we hardly ever go out and do anything. So it's kind of it's fun.
But it's nice to not do anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it? I feel like that is the time and the space where you really like get to connect with people when you aren't distracted by, whatever else is happening, out in the world on the TV or whatever. And you're just like sitting there hanging. Oh, those are good times.
Mm-hmm.
Those are good times with wine, preferably.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, well, there's nothing wrong with like, some snacks and going to a restaurant for happy hour. Yeah. Well, and I think that it's so important now, especially because everything has become so easily accessed digitally.
Mm-hmm.
And connecting so easily online that it's important that we actually make those times, schedule it in to be with people on the physical level.
Yeah, because then that stuff becomes your world, and it's like, do you exist outside of this virtual world that you're in?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, sadly enough, don't exist outside of it. Like all their friends are online, and that's how you start to like maintain a lot of your relationships. I have gotten really cognizant about that because I found myself at one point like, it's because you're friends with a person on Facebook, right? And you're friends in real life, of course, but you're friends on Facebook and you see what's happening with them via status updates, right? and so in your mind, this is what's happening with them, all of this stuff that they're putting on status updates. But come on, sometimes that's few and far between. So you actually have to reach out to a person to find out what's happening, and you should, do stuff that doesn't require screen time with them if possible. So I had to be cognizant because I'm like, oh, okay, well, my friends are good. They're good. They were happy on Monday, right? They were, they went somewhere on Tuesday. There were pictures of that. Wednesday, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how you carry on the relationship. And it's like, wait a minute, that is absolutely insane. You've got to pick up the phone and call these people and go out to dinner or go out to a movie or do something, because you can't just interpret life through a series of status updates. It's just not possible. So yeah, it's tis the nature of the social media world.
Well, it's funny because I've always actually struggled with being on Facebook. I'm starting to get on Instagram finally. I like that because you can post at Facebook and Twitter all at the same time. I'm like, okay, this I can do.
Yes, because it's easier. And people are visual, and so I'm trying to be more, I take pictures and stuff when I'm out and I'm in the moment, and but I don't know, I just kind of move on to the next moment and forget to post them. So I'm not very good at the Instagram.
Yeah. One of the things that I know that you do in your business is you help people connect through like masterminds. And, that's something that we had the blessing of having like something organic come together. And for you, one of the things you do is you help bring people together for a mastermind. What do you find are some really important keys to getting together and having a supportive group of people to mastermind with?
Definitely. I feel like everyone has to be on the same wavelength in terms of we've all established that we're here for a common reason, and usually those common reasons are to support one another in our own individual successes and collectively to, come together and share and collaborate in order for each one of us to kind of be pushed ahead. That's really important for me because, like you said, we did come together organically, but that doesn't always happen, and it took me, honestly, a few years of being an entrepreneur before I felt like I could establish relationships with people that happened organically. As you know, when you start out in business, the first thing everyone tells you need to do is go network, right? And so you run out and you maybe join some organizations or you start going to some events, and you are constantly seeking out people who are not only people that could be potential clients, but people who get you. No one wants to feel like they walked into a room and they're the oddball out. But I've had that feeling a lot of time, and it's so weird because I'm not the oddball out in the room, but in my mind, this is the experience that I'm having. This is what's happening to me. I feel like there's no one here that looks like me. I feel like there's no one here that understands what I'm doing. Everyone's in a different profession, and I'm having this conversation within myself. And that happened for a really long time, and I kept going to different things and finding different groups and joining different things, thinking that I was going to feel like I fit. And sometimes I did, and sometimes I didn't. And then I just came to the conclusion, well, I may as well just try and put this together myself, because if you can't find something, then you create it. And that is how this all came to be with the masterminds and such. And it's really important. I mean, I feel like if we aren't coming together organically, we are coming together for a common cause. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's here for the common cause. And I can only hope that everyone clicks and connects when they get in the room. But I vet people a certain way. So, so the chances of that happening are very, very high.
Right. Well, and that's like one of your gifts is you're very intuitive about bringing certain people together, and you can get a sense of how they will connect. And also, like you say, you know, there are kind of stages in business that you go through. And so it's really important that you're surrounded by people that are kind of in the same boat, but also can help you. I mean, you don't want to have everybody exactly the same, because you want some different types of energy in there. But
definitely, the diversity is important. You know, having people in different industries, having people in different levels of business, and having people that are open. I think more than anything else, that is it. Having people that are open-minded and willing to help the next person. One of the things that was really prevalent when I was out networking and meeting people and going to different events was that you'd go to some places and you'd have, for instance, you'd be in a supportive room of women, and I'm doing air quotes right now, and no one wanted to help anybody else. You know, and it's like, isn't this what we all came together for? I mean, yes, we're here for networking, but we're here for support, and we're here to kind of help each other. But no one really wanted to help another person, and they especially didn't want to help another person that they felt was beneath them. So,
well, and especially if it was in their arena of what they would be hired for.
Exactly. So it was more so like, oh, you're my competition. Why would I help you? But there is no competition. You know what I'm saying? We may be doing the same thing, but you're doing it your way, I'm doing it mine. So, you know, for you to give me a helpful suggestion or a hand, or even, you know, just tell me, listen, maybe you could tweak this, tweak that. There's nothing wrong with that. And I found that a lot of the times people weren't willing to do that. They weren't willing to look back and lend a hand to someone who was on the come up. So that is very, very big to me, being open and being willing to be the helping hand to another person, because at one point you needed it, and at one point you will need it from someone else, you know, so you should always be open to that.
Yeah. Well, and coming from, you know, a lot of the work that I do really looks at the balance between the masculine and feminine energy. And the feminine energy is more about collaboration, where the masculine is more about competition. And so I think a lot of us strong, entrepreneurial-minded women have kind of taken on more of the masculine traits in business. And so I think it's, you know, we're kind of going through a transition of shifting back into more of the feminine energy. So, yeah.
Yes, and as my masculine and feminine energy guru, you are.
Thank you.
I want you to tell me what can you do if you've recognized that you've been operating in the masculine energy, and you recognize that you've been operating from this place of like competition as opposed to collaboration. What can you do to kind of ease your way back into it without feeling like you're going from one end of the spectrum to the other so quickly?
Well,
not giving yourself a shock, I would say.
Yeah, and quite frankly, the ego is not going to have anything to do with going from one extreme to the other. It's going to fight you kicking and screaming, because it's going to bring up all of your stuff. Oh my gosh, what are you talking about? There's no competition. Sure there is. I'm competing with all these other coaches, or, you know, that's it. You just have all this stuff come up. So it is, I don't know. I think really it goes to yourself, connecting with yourself, your why are you doing it? What are you passionate about? And then when you're re-engaged and fully embodying that, you can find yourself naturally shifting into a place of abundance. And so I think the more that you can focus on why you're doing what you're doing, and tap into that energy and who it is that you're feeling called to help, you know, going into more of the spiritual, the energetic realm.
Yes.
Then, like I said, it's kind of like a natural progression. And then it is also looking at, what is no longer working for you? What have you been doing in the past that's kind of like where you're more in that action-oriented, moving forward, pushing ahead kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, what can you start letting go of? Just naturally falling away. This was something that I recently went through in a huge way. And you notice, I recently had double carpal tunnel surgery and elbow surgery all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And beforehand, I was working hours on end on my computer, and I already knew that it was time that I needed to start disciplining myself to stop working much earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were some days, some nights that I was
working. You were at it all day.
Yeah.
You were working all night.
I know, it was ridiculous. It was like until 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. I'd be sitting in front of the TV with my computer, multitasking, just trying to keep up with all the frickin' stuff. Facebook, just alone, and email. And so, like I said, intuitively, I knew I was trying to discipline myself to, start ending work earlier in the day. And, this was something that I masterminded with our group is that, and I was like good for 2 days. I was golden. I stopped early, shut the computer off at 8 o'clock.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I felt great. I felt, my work, there was a differentiation between my work day and my, pleasure time.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt a sense of much more value in the work that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2 days went by and then
you lost it.
I lost it. And I lost it for another 2 weeks until the day of my surgery. And then it was like, okay, you have your chance. Now you're going to have to not work. And I literally could not work for about 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
When I tried actually getting someone to help me and explaining, please help me with prepping the show and getting it out there, I was physically getting nauseous.
Yeah.
And so now I have a hard time getting myself to work. Because now I'm like I'm almost, well, I'm not almost fully recovered. I got my stitches up like 4 days ago, and I actually can get on the computer. But yes, it was a huge shift. Now it's very easy for me to not look at the Facebook folder of all of the 200 whatever messages. I don't have to respond right away to emails. And so, sometimes we have to be pushed to that point where something outside of us says, okay, you know what? It's time. Let's cut this out.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully y'all won't have to do that, but
it does happen. It does happen when you do have to, the allowing, and I guess one of the big things that you learned in this vacation from the world is that things still happen, everything still moved, everything still went on, and you contributed what you could.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the rest just had to kind of wait until you were back to 100%.
Yep. And
everything still happened.
Yeah.
So that's a good lesson.
Yeah, I had to let go of the outcome. I had to let go of perfectionist, being a perfectionist, because that was pretty big. And that was a great one to let go of.
Exactly.
Because now I'm like, I don't have to be so hard on myself.
Mm-hmm.
The world is not going to end if something doesn't come out right at the exact time.
Yes.
Or, whatever it happens to be.
It's true. It is so true. And to tie that back into our original point, It's like, ladies, you can let go of the notion that there is competition.
Yes.
You can let go of the notion that someone is going to take your place or your spot, or you could just let that go and just embody the idea of collaboration and of mutual success and advancement with other women, because that's 100% possible, and it feels damn better than being stressed out about what your quote unquote competition is doing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's in business and that's in life. Exactly. You know, because there are tons of mean girls, you know, and there, you know, just friendships and all, just seriously, business and life. It's all the same lesson.
Well, just, I think one of the big lessons, and this is kind of going along with what you're saying, is kind of, you were asking about how to shift from masculine to feminine.
Yes.
So I think one of the big keys is about the being, more being, less doing. I think what's most important above anything else is the energy that you bring to whatever you're doing. Just you and how you are in the world, how you're walking your message, living your truth, whatever it is that you're putting out, if you are embodying that, and you are coming from an abundant, positive place, that is going to move your business, move your life farther, leaps and bounds, much faster than any action steps.
Yes.
Like getting on Facebook and posting, you know, doing a Facebook ad, or, you know, whatever busy work that we do.
No, it's so true. And like you are speaking to me right now.
Oh. Well, I hope so.
This is like exactly what happened, you know, a few days ago with me. And just trying, and just, I'm always, you know, we always have this list, right? And you know me, I always have a ridiculous long list of things that I want to do. And half the time, none of this stuff gets done. And then I beat myself up because, you know, I didn't do X, Y, and Z. And I have started to focus on just being. You know, just being with it. That's it. I'm just going to sit here, and when I get the inspiration to do it, I will do it. And I find recently, in the past couple days, honestly, that I've had more inspiration to do stuff because I'm not sitting there going, but you have to do this, but you have to do that. You know, I'm just allowing it to be. The other night, I was speaking at an event, and I hadn't prepared anything in advance.
Because you know it.
I know, but I like to be prepared. But I figured, okay, well, this is a short talk, so I will, you know, I'll just make some bullet points, right? And so I had these bullet points, and I'm up there, and I am the type of person that kind of feeds off the crowd. So I'll ask questions during my talk and expect, you know, people to answer, and then that's how I formulate it in the moment.
Right.
And so thankfully people were talking, thankfully. But at the end of it, I was kind of like, ooh, I don't know if that was good. You know, I second guessed myself. I said, I don't know if that was good. I'm hoping it was good, because I wasn't 100% prepared, but I was being in that moment. I was just being me. I wasn't sitting there with an agenda or anything. I was just going to give info on the fly, and that was it. I was being me. And at the end of it, I sat down, they had a panel, and then women started walking up to me and asking me, you know, questions about my business journey and about how I help people. And one woman, you know, she was like raving, and she's, I want to work with you, you know, and it's just like, wow. Okay, wasn't expecting any of that to happen, but when you're just being, you are open and you are allowing things to happen, and so, you know, that's my lesson in just letting it go, just stopping with all the agendas sometimes and all of the lists and all of the to-dos, and just kind of allowing myself to feel what my next move should be.
Yeah, we've been on that. This has been, the last couple weeks for us has been the, let's all get on the allowing train.
Yes. I like the allowing trade.
I know you do.
Makes good stops.
Is there anything else you'd like to share about allowing?
Are we talking about my lessons that I learned recently?
Yes. I don't know if you would like to share those publicly.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, I will share. I have coined it now the Louboutin Lesson.
Yes.
That is the name of the lesson that I recently learned. And it had to do with my amazing husband purchasing a pair of shoes that I would have never expected him to purchase. And I came home last week, and he tells me that he has a gift for me, but it was on its way. And so I thought, oh, that's nice. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And I walked into my bedroom, and on my bed is a box of shoes from Christian Louboutin. Mm. And I almost lost my mind and passed out. All in the same like moment. All of it happened, And I could not believe it. I was flabbergasted. My jaw was on the floor. I didn't know what to think. They were beautiful shoes. They were amazingly beautiful, just wonderful shoes. But my first reaction was, I can't keep these. Mm-hmm. And it was surprising. It was a little bit surprising because it's like, wow, you came to that conclusion really quick, Yeah. And I wanted to be happy in the moment about the shoes. But I had this, I was having this dialogue out in my mouth that was like, no, I can't keep these. These are too expensive. And so my husband
be spending that money somewhere else.
Yes, that was my initial thought. Well, you're going to spend this money on shoes. We could have did this. We could have, taken another trip. We could have done. I came up with 15 things that we could have done, right?
Yeah.
And so all the while that I'm saying this to my husband, he's, I know he's feeling a little bad because I'm outwardly rejecting his gift, which is horrible.
Yes.
And he's just like, what are you talking about? We don't have issues with money. The money will always come back. Yeah, the shoes are expensive, but you deserve the shoes. Why don't you deserve to have nice things? Why can't you just accept this gift? And he was saying everything to me that my subconscious mind was saying to me. You deserve it. Why aren't you allowing yourself, there we go, allowing yourself to have it? Why are you fighting this? Why are you rejecting this? This is a good thing. And I'm still going on with the chatter right out of my mouth.
Okay. So just for a clarification, so the chatter is actually coming from your subconscious. What he's saying, he's coming from your high self.
Ah, okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. So yes, well, my higher self wanted me to have those shoes. And my subconscious mind was doing a lot of talking that I wasn't really favorable of.
Yeah.
So I told him that we'd have to talk about it because that was the same night I was going to this speaking thing I just told you about. Mm-hmm. And I went to the speaking engagement, and as I'm leaving the thing, I'm in my head thinking about these shoes. I called friends. I'm like, what should I do about these shoes? And it was just a really big to-do, you know? So we get home, and I decide that I'm going to have this heart-to-heart talk with my husband about why we cannot keep these shoes, Again, he is speaking in the voice of my higher self and is telling me that I should keep them. Mm-hmm. But my subconscious self is saying, no, we can't. Finally, he gave in. He said, you know what? If you want to take the shoes back, you can take them back. That's fine. And I said, okay. I'll do that. And I went to go find the receipt, to look at it. And the receipt clearly states that you cannot return the shoes for a refund. You can only return the shoes for a store credit or an exchange. And, it was one of those moments where you go from one extreme to the next, but it happens so quickly.
Yeah.
And the moment I read that, I was like, okay. I'm keeping the shoes.
You completely surrendered.
I completely surrendered to it. Within, 5 seconds of reading that, I was completely okay with keeping the shoes and excited that I was going to keep the shoes. And so I pass him the receipt, and he reads it, and he's like, oh my goodness. And
he's now the one panicking.
Yes, he's panicking because he's like, well, now I feel bad because I feel like I made a mistake. Yeah. And I'm like, no, you didn't make a mistake. You did exactly what you wanted to do, and it was amazing, and it's perfect, and I love you, and I'm grateful for these shoes, and this is what my higher self wanted. It wanted to be able to accept something, to be able to accept a gift, even if it's extravagant, and even if, rational me is like, are you kidding me? You could do so much stuff with that money. My higher self wanted to be able to accept that and wanted to know that I did deserve those shoes. And so I kept my shoes.
Yay, I know. You just like walking all over the city with those things.
I certainly will. But it was truly a lesson in knowing your value. Truly a lesson in realizing your value, because a lot of the times we try to talk ourselves into alternate realities.
Yeah. You don't need that one. Just get this one.
Exactly. Knowing what it is that you really want, and depriving yourself anyway. And you try to talk yourself into these alternate things that just aren't sufficient because they're not what you're meant to have or what you're supposed to have. And I had to learn a true lesson on value this week, a true lesson on valuing myself, a true lesson on valuing acceptance, on being able to accept things from my husband and not, dispute him about them. There were a lot of lessons. And the lessons about attracting.
Yeah.
Because what happened after the shoes was even more amazing. And it was just a lot. There was a lot that needed to come out. And so those little shoes taught me a big lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And, you were talking about your friends. You got on the phone with your friends and you're like, oh my gosh, what should I do with these shoes? And kind of swinging back around to where we started this conversation, I think not only in our business, but just personally, it's really important that we're surrounding ourselves with people that have the same values, that are on the same page, that have the same beliefs, and that are going to support you in the way you need and want to be supported.
Definitely.
I think that, when you're on your spiritual journey, especially in the beginning, when you start down that path, you might go through a transitional period where it's you have to let go of a lot of relationships or people that no longer are in alignment with who you are becoming.
Yes.
Or who you are. And,
definitely.
That can feel like a painful process. But the value in surrounding yourself with people that are moving in the same direction is so powerful.
It certainly is. I mean, I have had to let go of some relationships along the years because they didn't fit with where I decided that I was going to take my life. And truth be told, I still have some friends that have this certain way of thinking that's not 100% in line with what I think. But again, I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't impede on each other's boundaries when it comes to those types of things. And so I'm allowed to believe what I believe and they're allowed to believe what they believe, and that's totally fine, and we can still coexist and be friends. But for people that were really outside of the really outside of my wavelength that I'm on right now, I did have to, bring a few relationships to conclusion. But it is very important, like you said, to be in the company and in the space of those people who get you, those people who are going to support you on your journey. That's one of the things, like we said, that's one of the reasons why I created the Mastermind, because it is important to have to be in the company of women. I feel like that's like huge, it's a man's world. Well, not really anymore. So they say it's a man's world, but women have a lot of strength and power and, the ability to collaborate and share and excel together is amazing. And so, that's the whole purpose of why I created this. I created it so that 6 women can get together for a set amount of time, usually between 3 and 6 months, and just brainstorm on their businesses and set their goals and be champions for each other during this time frame. And it's a powerful experience.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It's a powerful experience. And I do it live and I do it online so that, if it's live, even better. You can be right in the company of this group of women. There's a level of commitment when you have to get up and go somewhere and do something with other people. And then online, it offers you the ability to do it with people from around the world.
Mm-hmm.
It offers you the insight of, people from the UK, of people from Africa, Australia, all over the world. And this is your dedicated group. These women are your, like I say, these are your best friends for the next few months.
Yeah.
And sometimes that does happen,
Yeah. And I think that, that it's really important that, I've seen some kind of mastermind groups where you meet with a different group of women or people each time, and that's okay, but I can tell you from just what we've created amongst our group,
mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, we have really taken all of our businesses to a whole nother level,
mm-hmm.
and we're getting to the point where we're sharing very vulnerable things about ourselves, not just in our business, but personally as well. And I think that having that commitment, that is something that you can't really get from a friend who isn't also an entrepreneur, if that's, if that's the arena that you're hanging out in. And, so you guys, if you are in New York or New Jersey or around, and you're thinking of participating in a mastermind, I definitely think you got to hook up with Shakima, because, you're going to be in amazing hands, and your business will definitely thank you. And yeah.
Yeah. And I would love to have you.
Yeah.
I would love to have you. I certainly would. You can find out more about me and my mastermind groups either at my personal website, which is shakimamartinez.com, or the website that's dedicated to the mastermind group, which is the successcollective.org. And I'm sure, Angela, you will put those links somewhere so that everyone can see them.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, so is there anything else you want to say before we jump off here? We've had such a fun conversation.
I know we did. I just want to say, if there's any big takeaway from today, it is, ladies, go forth and allow. Go forth and allow wonderful things to happen to you. Be open to them, accept them, say yes, and just enjoy.
Enjoy. Yes. Receive like a goddess.
Exactly.
The goddess that you are.
Exactly.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, the best discussions happen after the show over at theawakenedgoddess.com. So get yourself over there and leave a comment right now. Did you enjoy this episode? If so, subscribe to the show. And of course, it would be amazing if you'd share this with all of your friends. And if you want even more incredible resources, come on over to theawakenedgoddess.com and sign up for email updates. So until next time, goodbye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Awakened Goddess. I hope you enjoyed today's show and took away something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at thegoddessnextdoor.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.